I try to lower expectations as much as possible so I can delight and surprise with my humor. But most of the time, trust I'm just the tall one.
And this is Gatriarchs.
So frequently I think about a really funny tweet that I read a couple years ago. And I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter. I just feel like, well, one, it's a time suck, obviously, and two, it's a time suck, and three, it's a time suck. But I do think that there's an awful lot of intelligence out there. And I saw a tweet from this woman who was definitely like, I don't know, 18, 19, 20, pre-kids. And she said, the tweet was, parenting looks so hard. It seems like you have to traumatize your kids just enough so that they end up funny. I think about that all the time because of the ways that, there's the term helicopter dad, and then there's also the term like bulldozer dad, where we're pushing everything out of the way to protect our kids in every single possible way so they possibly never will possibly meet any resistance, any discomfort, any challenges whatsoever. Meanwhile, at the same time, we do want them to be challenged and we want them to be resilient. Resilience is something I think about almost as much as I think about gratitude. And I think about gratitude.
Girl is gay for gratitude.
Yes, yes, gay for gratitude and resilience. I am gay for resilience. And so I think about that tweet a lot whenever I am having to say to my kids, like, just buck up, kid. You just got to deal with this a little bit. Or when we think about all of the ways we're trying to insulate our kids, like my older kid is in middle school now. They no longer have a dance because, not because the kids were rowdy, but because they just ran around the entire time and like literally sprinted through the hallways. So they were like, well, what's the point of like dimming the lights and turning the music on when they just run through the hallways? They also don't use lockers anymore. They have a locker that they can use in the morning and in the afternoon, but they can't go to them in between classes because they said it was just too much friction causing. And then the third, they don't have a student council anymore because it was just a popularity contest. Now, all of their logic makes perfect sense to me. Perfect sense, especially, frankly, the student council and popularity contest, which just essentially hurts feelings. But also, you got to deal with hurt feelings in your life, right? And you and I mean, I don't know about you. I was never bullied. I wasn't bullied in a 2023 sense of the word. I was bullied in a early 1990s sense of the word.
So you were called faggot in the hallway.
And even though I dreaded going to school almost every single day of my probably sophomore year of high school and seventh grade and sophomore year, I also pushed through, and every day wasn't miserable. And I didn't come home crying. I just kind of like had to take a deep breath before I went into the schools those days and be like, oh God, here we go. And not every day was terrible, but I pushed through. And it made me who I am today. And I wouldn't want to relive those years, but it made me who I am.
But that's the balance, right? That's the balance you're looking for, is that you want to sprinkle just enough trauma on top so they're interesting and they've got a point of view and they're funny, but not enough trauma to where they go over the edge. So it's like it's the trauma cookie we're trying to figure out, of the balance of like how much trauma to sprinkle on top. Listen, I only attribute my funniness to being called faggot plenty in middle school. Yep. So it's like, how many faggots do we need to sprinkle to really create the ideal child? This is like a eugenics question. Yeah. But I think that's the evergreen parent question, right? Is like, yeah. I want my kids to fail. My kids have to fail to learn and to move forward. But like, I don't want my kid to break his arm, but I do want my kid to fall, but not to get too hurt, but to get hurt enough. I want, I struggle with this every day when like my kid's like trying to reaching for the light and can't get the light switch. I'm like, it would be so much easier for me to just turn off the light. And it's the same way, like putting the plate in the sink and all the little things that would just make my life a little bit easier. It's just making it harder for him to learn how to do it better. But it's annoying. It's annoying to let your kids fail because you got to hear them cry and whine. And that takes it out of me. But I get what you're saying, which is like, you got to have a little bit of experience and failure to become a stronger person in the future. But that process fucking sucks for parents. It sucks.
Yeah. And if you don't have any resilience and you have your entire life handed to you on a silver plate, you just basically end up being an asshole or like a basic, I don't know, is the formula for the most popular kid on campus in high school, and the popular kid who then we like to joke will later be pumping gas, because there's nothing literally interesting about them. They haven't had to work too hard. They haven't had to overcome anything emotionally. So when they are challenged by something when they're 19, 20, or 21, they literally don't know how to deal with it.
We all know the rich kids who learned their life lessons were very different than ours. So if those rich kids become unrich, right, Schitt's Creek, they don't have those fucking skills to kind of manage the stress, not only the literal financial stress of like paying rent, but like the social stress of what money means. So like it's not a defense of them, but like how could, it's like a celebrity who's been a celebrity since they were 12. Like how could they possibly have any idea of reality? Because they in their formative years, they didn't have any reality. And so what you're saying, like helicopter parents or bulldozer parents or whatever, it is a hard, I think all parents probably aim for that perfect middle, but like we're all just reliving our trauma from our childhoods or trying to repair that, right? We're all trying to like be like, well, my parents did this, so I'm going to try to do this.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're all trying to find that perfect line of like, I'm going to let you fall, but you're not going to die.
Yeah. Well said.
So in way less interesting news, I realized that it's really important to have good parenting friends this weekend, because we had friends over who were just like, they have 2 kids. We have 2 kids. They came over. We all go to daycare together. We live near each other. And we're like, oh, we'll just order pizzas, hang out, let the kids like trash the house, whatever. And my son doesn't eat a ton of sugar. We try to like make him treats. So like, oh, you get a treat every other day or whatever. So he doesn't eat a lot of sugar.
But not to the degree of his first birthday cake that was just a pile of shit.
I'm going to, like, when we have show notes, I'm going to eventually put the photo of his first birthday party. It's fucking fantastic. He's sobbing because his dad won't let him have sugar. But no, like, he gets to have sugar, but, like, we try to make it a treat and not, like, an everyday thing. So, anyway, at daycare, and I don't know if it's our daycare or if it's all daycares, like, every day is somebody's birthday. Every day is a special day. Every day there's fucking pudding and cakes and cookies and candies, and it is nonstop. And I hate being the parent who's like, can we have a little less sugar? I just want it to be a little more special. Anyway, the point is, he had a ton of fucking sugar. He came home and he's like, you know, Miss whoever gave me a bunch of this, and then and he goes, my tummy hurts. And I was like, yeah, you ate too much sugar and let's just relax. Well, that ended up being him projectile vomiting all over the kitchen rug. And literally in front of these 2 parents while we're eating pizza. And thank God, because we're all in this like hyped up pandemic-y kind of fear of, you know, disease and whatever. And thank God they were like, oh, poor baby, and do we need help? And they just kept eating their pizza and so chill. And it's like so nice to have fellow parents who aren't traumatized by a child throwing up brownish liquid all over the kitchen floor, because they fucking get it. And if their kid had started puking on our floor, we'd be like, oh, what do they need? Are they okay? We're not going to panic because we get it. Our friend Ellen also came over a couple weeks ago for dinner, and our daughter was just like, you could just see in her eyes, there was like that far off look in her eyes. And I was like, you're going to puke, aren't you? And she just, while we're all sitting at the table, she just green, like just terrible green liquid came out of her mouth and she threw up.
Yes.
And it was just, she was like, oh, do you need a towel? Like, it's so nice to be in the safety net. And I hope that this podcast is for a lot of people, is like the safety net of like, we're all in this terrible ride together. You don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about us. We get it. Kids puke. I'm not afraid. Hand me a slice of pepperoni.
But to take it to a judgmental realm, though, I would say anybody who thinks, oh, I can deal with my own kids' poop, I can deal with my own kids' vomit, but I can't deal with yours. I want to be like, really? What made you so great? Because it's pretty much all the same thing. I mean, I suppose germaphobes out there, but...
Or also, I think also what comes into play is like, puke and shit and all of this stuff is not fun when it's your own kid. It's just not stressful. Right? It's not like, okay, well, it's like, whatever, we're going to clean up this, whatever, but it's not enjoyable. So when it's another kid, I always say, like, that's your fucking kid. Good luck with it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that I'm turned off or I'm like, oh, God, what's going on? And that's so disgusting. I'm just like, I don't like cleaning puke. That's your fucking kid. You clean it up. So anyway, R.I.P. the kitchen rug we had. That is now in the dump.
There was a time that I was having an adult play date at the playground with a
Ooh,
friend of mine who doesn't have
okay.
kids.
Tell me slowly. Tell me slowly.
There was nothing nefarious, and it was in full broad daylight. It
Oh,
was just
then
a friend
skip
of
the
mine. I hadn't seen
story.
him
Just
forever.
skip on ahead. Skip 30 seconds, everyone.
And he said, hey, we haven't seen each other forever. And I was like, well, I'm just always at playgrounds. So you can just like, do you mind coming to the playground? It's just a couple blocks away from you. So this friend of mine who shows up, he is gay. I doubt he's listening to this, but John, this is dedicated to you. And he's definitely like kids. I just don't know what to do. I mean, oh my God, shit or vomit in front of him. Well, soon presented itself because my kid was not feeling very good. And I mean, she was low key, but I didn't think anything was happening. And then suddenly she just turned towards me looking white and barked in my lap. And my friend hopped up and hightailed it out of that playground so quickly. And there was no sense of like, hey, do you need anything? Or it was very much like, there was no tag. There was no nothing. It was like, I'm out of here. Bye. And I definitely did not see him again for another couple of years.
That's my favorite part about children throwing up. Is it not they don't go, I think I have to throw up, and they like casually walk to the toilet and they get on their knee. Like, no. They look towards you and they vomit in the most horrible way possible. I remember the first time I remember my son actually throwing up, he kept, and I felt bad. He kept wanting to like hug me, like he kept wanting to be on me, so whenever he'd feel like he throw up, he would walk towards me like this little vomity monster, and I would run away from him. And I felt horrible because I was like, I don't want you to puke on me, but and he just so badly wanted to be held, and so you eventually just have to hold them covered in vomit. Listen,
Right.
For those of you who are aspiring parents, this is it. We're giving you the actual tea. If you can handle a child throwing up directly into your lap, you got this parenting thing.
My daughter, and she said, I have a lot of empathy for people. And I'm like, really? Because you're a monster asshole to me. But I did not say that out loud. I was like, and I know that she's an empathetic kid. And she said, you know what? I have empathy for also, I didn't realize that she frankly knew the term or the definition of empathy. And frankly, it might be a little questionable still. And frankly, I think a lot of adults don't even know what empathy means or the difference between empathy and sympathy. But anyway, I'll get off my grammatical high horse. She said, I think even my stuffed animals have feelings. And so I don't want to get rid of them because I feel bad, even if I don't want to hold on to them, which has forced us to have to steal away in the middle of the night or while she's at school, one toy at a time, and just disappear it. And she never asks, and she completely forgets about it. Or if she does once in a while say, hey, where was that pink bear? I'll be like, no, I don't know. And then she's on to something else anyway. But I have to admit, when I look at their little stuffed animal faces in the trash, a little part of me dies too.
It's very Toy Story, and it reminds me of like, you know, like you're basically becoming like the Greek mafia, just like disappearing people at night. And I say Greek mafia not to be offensive because I used to live in Astoria, Queens, which is very, very Greek at the time, and now it's just like young actors. But at the time, it was very Greek, and I was at this cafe, and at the cafe there was this, I'm gonna say, gentleman experiencing homelessness person who kept coming into the cafe and was like, you know, yelling whatever. And this like older Greek woman who was running the front counter was not having any of it. She would come out, she'd scream at him, she would push him out the door. She like had a broom, she would like shove him out the door. It's fantastic. So he did this 2 times. He did it a 3rd time. He comes back in, she starts yelling at him, she pushes him out the door, and I'm ready to help, but this bitch has it together. She is fearless. Well, she gets on the phone. And I'm like, oh shit, she's calling the cops or whatever. Gavin, 4 minutes later, a black SUV pulls up. And like 4, I swear to God, I'm not lying. 4 guys in like suits come out of the car calmly. They walk around the corner where the guy was standing. They put their arm around him and they walked around the corner. That man was always in our neighborhood. I never saw him again. Now, I'm not saying that they disappeared him like your daughter's toys, but I'm saying I never saw this guy again. And she made 1 phone call and an SUV pulled up.
Holy shit.
But so the thing that I maybe drives me the most insane about my kids' toys, and then maybe you can understand this, are the kids' toys where they make a lot of noise, right? And you're like, that's annoying in general. So you're like, great, I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to switch that switch to the dog guitar. I'm going to turn it off so it doesn't do anything anymore. But what does it do? It goes, dee 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 dee. Bye bye. Come play with us again sometime. It has a whole fucking parting message.
No way.
And I'm like,
Yes.
no. Because what happens is usually somebody's sleeping. I'm trying to sneak the toy away. So when I turn off, I just want you to stop talking. I don't want any more conversation. But so many of these toys have like an off message to be like, oh, I guess we'll have to play another time. Remember? I'm like, this is a monologue I don't need to hear. We got it. So that makes me crazy because it's usually me trying to sneak away and make a toy disappear, and then immediately I'm caught.
Not to mention the fact that that is utter and complete mind manipulation with the kids, because that's a sense of I'm leaving, I'm abandoning you now, and no kid wants to be abandoned. And so whether or not they're asleep or awake, they think, oh, wait a minute, no, don't get rid of that, even though they haven't touched it in 3 days and you've been tripping over it. That infuriates me as well. And also, we don't need the goodbye. And you are not a sentient being. You don't even know what goodbye means. Just
Not
turn
yet.
the fuck off.
Not yet.
True.
So, Gavin, let's talk about our top 3 list. You chose this week's list. What is our list this week?
We're thinking about 3 movies that actually teach you something about parenting. Maybe it's the right thing, maybe it's the wrong thing, but 3 things that teach you about parenting. Have you thought about this?
I have, and I don't know if I did this list correctly, but
there is no right or wrong, my friend.
Okay, there
is no right or wrong.
So I'll go first. So in third for me is Finding Nemo. Now, what I feel like I learned in Finding Nemo was what we were just talking about earlier, which is like you have to let your kids fail, and you have to let them try something that could likely end up in failure. Now, obviously, you don't want them to be killed or to be taken by some crazy girl for her fish tank. But Finding Nemo is letting your children make their own mistakes. The turtles, as silly as it sounds, are kind of the inverse of what Nemo's dad does, right? The turtles are like, you got it, dude. You go for it. I believe in you, right? So number 3, Finding Nemo. Number 2, Big Fish.
Oh, you're going to have to remind me.
Well, Big Fish is, I feel like a lesson in the other way around is about learning that your parents are real people. They're fallible people. They have their own lives. They have their own reasons for lying and making things up. So I feel like Big Fish was very influential in kind of learning, that point we all get to, I feel like in our late 20s, early 30s, where we see our parents suddenly as people who had kids and not parents. And number 1, and this is I didn't really learn about parenting. It more is the absolute perfect representation of what I am as a parent. Christmas Vacation.
Oh,
now Christmas Vacation I choose because I am Clark Griswold. I have this romantic ideal of the perfect Christmas, the perfect family Christmas, sitting around the campfire, singing songs, drinking hot chocolate. And it's never the case. It always ends in chaos. But that hope, that dream of the perfect romantic family kind of vision of Christmas, I am so connected with. And to me, that is like the most, it's so me on screen. So number 1, Christmas Vacation. What about you?
I took my own tack on this as well. And sometimes it's about the experience of watching something together as a family and something I learn and take a lesson with me. Number 3, A Dog's Purpose. My kids love the movie. I have watched it multiple times with them. I cry every single time.
I've never seen it. I got to assume that like somebody takes a shotgun to this poor dog.
To multiple dogs.
Wow.
Multiple dogs get basically shotgunned.
Gavin, you showed your children this?
And, well, you know what? You got to learn some sad realities about life, dude. Just the right amount of trauma. So they'll end up funny. Remember?
Bringing it back.
So in A Dog's Purpose, I cried, they cried. I think them seeing my emotion is helpful. I think learning lessons about disappointment and that dogs do die and being able to reference that when they're sad is an important parenting tool. So it's a really good movie. Number 2, I jealous of grandparents who get to just throw off all caution to the wind and just be the ones to say, go follow your passion, go chase the rainbows, go do this, that, and the other. Meanwhile, the parents have to be in reality and get the diapers changed and food on the table and make sure the kids don't, stab themselves with pencils when they're running downstairs. But I really love the grandfather in Little Miss Sunshine,
Mm.
who encourages the girl to just be her fabulous self in the beauty pageant, and he tells the teenage boy, "Have lots of sex," and I think that's an okay thing to say. I suppose from a grandparent, maybe from a parent at the age appropriate time. But that movie teaches me about how often I get stuck in and mired in the just like the day to day technicalities of parenting. And I would love to throw a little more caution to the wind. And we all need to let our kids jump in rain puddles more often.
I also wish grandparents would have a little dose of reality about the whole like, yeah, we have chocolate anytime. Let them jump or whatever. But I want to say here and now, when I'm a grandparent, I'm not doing that. I'm not changing the way this works. I'm going to be the grandparent who tells the kid to have sex and to give him candy. Yeah, I'm that.
Yes.
I'm saying I am not going to improve this whatsoever.
And then number one, guess what? Clark Griswold.
Crossover. Yes.
I admit, he's a punchline. He's a joke. But you love him, and he loves his kids, and he creates magic for his kids all the time.
He just wants the perfect family experience.
Yeah.
And he tries so hard, and he fails all the time. And if that's not parenting, what is?
But he creates memories along the path, and, by the end, they're all happy and they love each other. And yes, that is you got to put some effort into stuff. And I think I admire the effort that Clark Griswold puts into creating magic for his family. We are so lucky to be joined by our friend and yours, Jamie Grayson, who is sometimes better known as Baby Guy NYC. And he came to New York City as an actor, much like David and I did just a few years ago. And then he found his niche in a lot of different other areas. And he is proving time and again in the baby industrial complex that who does it better, who's more tenacious or creative or determined or entertaining than a good old actor. Jamie, thank you for joining us.
Howdy.
Wait, why didn't you mention that he was the toilet paper refill boy at Chelsea Studios? Because I think that should go at the top of the resume.
It's in my bio on TikTok. Mm-hmm. Toilet paper boy at Chelsea.
Well, thank goodness. I mean, when you have those nerves going in an audition situation, you do need need the toilet paper right there.
In high school, we used to call it Drama-ria. Whenever we had a tournament or you had a show, we're like, how's everybody's Drama-ria? Because it's real.
It's so true. It's so true. It's not just gaseous. It is.
Nope.
It is sometimes. Well, more solid than that. But
I want you to know that I'm going to take Drama-ria and I'm going to keep that right here for the rest of my life.
Mm-hmm. It's a nugget of wisdom I like to pass on to the people.
So Jamie, you have so many different perspectives and so much experience, but I think it probably is a good idea to just say, what do you do and how do you explain it to folks?
That's not easy. But the short and sweet of it is, 18 years ago, I took a survival job at Bye Bye Baby when I got off tour, and that morphed. I was there 4.5 years, worked at a birth education center for a year, quit my job there. The day after I quit, I was in New York Magazine as the best baby gear expert in the city, and then that led to a lot of TV and stuff like that, but I was broke and had no job, so I slowly figured out how to make a living, and that was working privately as a consultant with brands, and I would fly to like Bugaboo's headquarters in Amsterdam and train them on their competitors. And then I started doing speaking engagements with several different organizations. Obviously, COVID had its plans with that, and they slowly started picking up again last year. But I have about 1 million followers across all my channels, and it's just a lot of social media. And the public stuff. But I work in baby gear. I'm a child passenger safety technician, and sassy Southern homosexual.
Yes.
That's. I mean, that you should always lead with that. Honestly, I'm also a sassy Southern individual. Where in the South did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in the magical land of Little Rock, Arkansas. What about you?
Oh, honey, that's the real South. Now, I come from a different kind of South. I came from rural Florida, which is yours is a little more like banjo by the river, and mine's a little more like meth lab by the orange grove.
Yeah.
But it's this. But we're still kin.
We are. I went to church with Bill Clinton growing up, so it was very.
I always say like nobody ever understands I'm from the South until like either I'm drinking or I'm talking on the phone with one of my relatives who's still there, and all of a sudden I'm like, y'all going to the store now? And they're like, who are you talking? What is that voice? No.
So you said that it's a lot of social media. I'm curious, how many days a year do you spend on the road? And then also, maybe more interesting, how many minutes a day do you spend on your phone?
In the height of my speaking gigs back before I was like monetizing social, the most speaking I ever did in 1 year, I had 49 speaking events, which was nuts. And that's not a healthy or maintainable lifestyle, as it turns out. You can't sustain that. So now I do around 20 speaking gigs a year is my average. Even for this year coming up, like I have 12 with one event and I have trade show stuff. But that means, you know, probably I spend about a month and a half, 2 months on the road just for work purposes. In terms of my screen time,
it's bad.
The limit
that weekly report is not cute.
It's not cute. The limit does not exist. It's hideous actually, and also gross.
But you enjoy it?
I do.
Yeah, good.
The hard thing about social media, I think, is it's made my anxiety so much worse, because it's like you have to be on and you have to get this kind of engagement, and you have to get this, and like this is how you make your money, and blah blah blah. And I just stopped caring, to be honest. It really helps if I'm like, all I can do is put my work out there into the ether. I can do my best to help it reach people, whatever. If people engage with it, great, but it's out of my hands at that point. And, you know, I've turned my notifications off on my phone. I have a little list of rules about what I will respond to and what I won't, but you spend a lot of time online.
You're in an interesting industry, because I feel like your industry is very much like the wedding industry, where there is a need for what you do. There is a need for your products, but it's surrounded by garbage. Mm-hmm. It's surrounded by people preying on the kind of emotional, right? Like funeral homes are the same way, where like there is a strong emotion when you were having a kid. So we all think we have to buy all the things, and companies know that, right? But it is not inherently a bad, you know, you're not in a bad industry. It's just you're in an industry that's also full of people preying on that stuff. How do you kind of cut through some of the noise with like the fact that there is need for what you do and the stuff that you create?
You know, as much as I'm into like the noise of all the products, and like the products are for the most part all fun and the people are fun, you really don't need that much stuff with a baby, because in the beginning, in theory, all they're going to be doing is sleeping and eating and pooping, and literally that's it.
That's all they do.
And as long as they have a place to sleep, something to poop in, a way to get food in their body, and like you have a car seat, you're pretty good. And it's all the other stuff, like all the clothing, all the stupid baby toys that they don't really need in the beginning. You know, there is a lot of stuff, and I will gladly talk to people about it, but I'm like, even though I have a bunch of crap in my apartment, I am very much a minimalist. Like, I don't buy things. So it's just about kind of navigating, like, what is your lifestyle doing, and what, you know, how much space do you have?
That's what I love. That was my favorite part about not my favorite part, forgive me, but one of my favorite things about having a second kid was I did the thing that every single time parent does, is right before the kid is born, they do two things. They say, I'm not going to be one of those families with a bunch of shit in their house. And then they buy all the shit, right? They're like, well, we need the bottle warmer, and we need the upstairs bottle warmer, and we need the downstairs, you know. So we were going to be like, not that. And then we were that, right? And then when we had the experience and we realized what you just said, which is they just literally need a safe place to sleep, and they need a bottle, and they need you to wipe their butt.
Yep.
End of list. No more. I got to do that with the second one, and I got to live what I wish I had done with the first time, but I just physically couldn't because I didn't know and I wasn't there. And we were in a hotel when our daughter was born, and we had to stay a night with her before our flight the next day. And she slept in the fucking drawer. Yeah. She slept in the drawer. Did I buy a bassinet for the one night? No, I opened a chest drawer. I put it on the ground. I put blankets in it, and she fucking slept. I have a great picture on my Instagram about it. But like, I would never have ever in a million years done that with the first kid. Never. But one thing somebody had told us, and thank God I listened, was they were like, do not do a bottle warmer and do not do a wipes warmer.
Uh-huh.
Let them get used to it cold from day one. Cold refrigerator milk and cold wipes on their ass, because it'll be a little annoying for a couple days, but then they're used to it.
It's
and you're
invigorating.
wild, and you're at the mall.
And it's invigorating.
They're so good. But it's so true. Like, I know so many people are slave to the perfect temperature of that milk and a warm wipe, and I'm like, no thanks. My kids have had ice cold wipes on their ass since day one, and they're used to it.
Yep. My kid actually had ice cubes in her milk one time, and I was like, whoops, and her eyes got real big. But Jamie, are you able to tell people that or steer them
Oh,
away
absolutely,
from that?
I am.
Oh,
But do
that's
people
great.
listen to you?
Oh, yeah,
People don't
they
listen
do.
to you. Oh,
yeah,
really?
They do. Oh, yeah. I mean,
That's
I do polls. I'm like, what is the one baby product that you bought that you wish you never had or wish you could return? And without fail, it's always warmers of all kinds. Because even if you feel you need to warm something up, we have these things in our houses called stoves. And you can warm up a little bit of water and just put the bottle in to warm it up a little bit, and you don't have to deal with it. Like, you just
For
kind of
those
keep
of you
it
out there who don't have stoves, please don't take offense to Jamie. He means no harm.
No, you can get a hot plate. But no, there's no need. And like the wipe warmers, like if your wipes are super cold and your baby is shaking a fist, you put them in your hands and you just warm them up with your hand
Nice.
temperature a little bit. Like, they're stupid.
You just saved everybody
Not the babies.
$72.99. Would you rather work with, well, it's kind of like the wedding industry, like David was just asking, you're also dealing with people who care very deeply and are very anxious because they're going into a world that they don't understand, they're scared of, et cetera, et cetera. There must be an awful lot of therapy you do to calm people down.
I noticed back when I was still working at Bye Bye Baby, the women cry a lot. And you walk down the stairs in that store and you're just hit in the face with like a wall of car seats and stuff. And you don't know what you're looking at. And the women would completely break down. And I realized there was something about what I did that was like, I was like the little Southern gay best friend that all these women wanted and didn't have. And I was like, oh, I can kind of work this angle and not really like milk it, but kind of milk it at the same time.
Totally.
So I was like, oh, I'm just like your little gay. Like, let's have a conversation. And I mean, this was, almost 20 years ago. So I think I would definitely handle it a little differently now. But it's just about like listening to people. And if they if they have to rant, like, so be it. I have been cried on many times.
I mean, probably at Chelsea Studios as well. You've been cried on.
You know what? There's a reason they need that extra toilet paper in the bathroom.
Lots of tears.
Emotions.
Lots of broken dreams in those hallways.
Broken dreams and broken capizios.
Split soul, kitten heel. Yes. So with that, so I have we all as parents, I think, like to, when somebody is kind of behind us, they have a kid a year younger or they have a kid coming, we all like to be the, the gurus and like, here's what you really need to know. And one of the things I do is like, I love to give as a gift, like the one or two things that are the only things that ever work for me. And the rule I always say is that you're going to have a bunch of shit and really only one thing is going to work for you, and you're going to give that to your friend and it's not going to work for them.
Yeah.
So do you have I know for me it's it's a nail trimmer. It's like a little nail file that just spins.
The Buzz Bee by Zoli.
It's a different brand. I think it starts with an A, but it's exactly that. It's right. Yeah. That's my gift that I give to people. But is there a thing like that where you like, this is one item that I always recommend to people?
Yeah. If I'm going to a baby shower, I will always buy a specific baby bathtub that's made by Stoka, the Flexi Bath, and I use it to hold stuff. And I will do a couple Love to Dream swaddle ups. I do Uncle Goose wooden blocks and a couple books. Like, I'm not into like,
it's simple stuff.
Yeah, and I love a wooden
stuff.
block. I love a wooden block. I love a book. The kids need to learn to read.
Some of the best parenting advice I ever got from somebody was to make sure that there was a drawer in my kitchen that was accessible for the kids and put Tupperware in it, lids.
Yeah.
And the Tupperware acts as blocks that they can stack, and they love the lids.
That has saved my life so many times.
I told somebody when they came to our first birthday party, because of course we made that a blowout affair, as we all do, and it's so fucking stupid. But and I told some friends, just bring some Tupperware, and they were like, "I'm not buying Tupperware for your kid." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, honestly, you could save a lot of money and do that." But so, Jamie, what is the difference working with gay dads to be?
I don't know if there really is a huge difference. I mean, this is a whole other discussion that I could go on a rant on for hours.
Please rant. You
Rant.
got the space. Let's do it.
I do think there is something, and not to sound stereotypical, but I will.
Do it.
Oh,
Go
please
for it.
generalize.
We love generalizations and stereotypes here.
The gay dad community is more, in my experience, in my opinion,
IMHO.
more inclined to use their children as content online. And there are lots of, dual mom accounts, like all kinds of things. And some they're typically pretty just chill with like, these are our kids, they're beautiful, we love them. But there's something, and this is not like they're having babies to be performative and like whatever, but there's something about a lot of gay dads on Instagram. And when they finally have kids, they start doing like too many TikTok dances with their children and all this stuff. And I just have a problem in general with children being used as content. Like they didn't agree to this. And it's something I learned over the years with my own nieces and nephews, because I have 7 of them that are 13 and under. And, as part of my job, I would use children to be like, they fit in this car seat well. Like, it's how I test stuff. It's very different. But when you're using kids to get views and monetize that, I have a serious problem.
I wonder if some of that is like we talked a little bit last week about how my perception of gay parents is generally they are more affluent than straight parents, and I'm like, why? And I think I imagine it because there's a gatekeeping quality to like, for gay men to have a child is usually it's a very expensive. Yes. So if they've had a child, there's maybe more money there. So I wonder if that plays into that a little bit too, where like they have the time. Because I think about those, I know exactly the accounts you're talking about, and I think about those dads, and I think that took hours for you to conceive, to build the props, to light, to have who is taking the kids who are sobbing? Who is
when are you parenting?
When are you parenting? So I'm wondering if like part of that is because they have a staff, they have nannies or families or night nurses and those kind of things. That's being a little shitty to them, but I do wonder about that because I always come back to money in my head because it's such a insanely expensive process that you're dead broke afterwards, or that's just a dip and that's nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if that plays into that at all.
Before they become parents, as you chatted about often having people cry on your shoulder, what is it, the preparation factor for gay dads versus moms or straight dads? Or is it kind of the same, like, I don't know what I'm doing, just tell me what to do?
Most of the time, people just don't know what they're doing, period. I really don't think in terms of the prep work for product and like car seats and stuff like that, there's no real difference. I do think, and this is also a different discussion, when people start feeling like they have to spend $1,000 on the stroller or $2,000 on this, and they're buying, these crazy handbags and stuff. Like, it's not it's almost like you're keeping up. You know what I mean? But it's like it's the keeping up with the Joneses kind of approach to product, and you don't need to always buy product that is a status symbol.
Yeah,
your stuff just has to work. But I think that plays into a little bit like who's doing the parenting, right? For me and my husband, we unfortunately don't have family near. So like we're it. Like we have babysitters, which is lovely, but like we're it. So like we are in the trenches and we're the ones who are having to deal with all that stuff. So we learn that lesson very quickly. But I wonder if I had a full-time nanny or if I had something like that, if I wouldn't, that's the bag being functional first wouldn't matter as much to me. Yeah. Because right now I'm like, it has to have a side pocket that I can quickly throw a bottle in. I cannot unzip something. I don't have a hand to unzip. Can it just pop into the little thing? But I wonder if I'm not doing that every day, maybe it doesn't matter as much.
When I first started at Bye Bye Baby, this is one of the infamous stories I have in my life. I did not know anything. And this woman came up, and it was like 8:00 at night, and the store closes at 9, and I was getting off the clock. And she's like, I need help. And I was like, what? And she's like, I'm having a C-section at 6:30 in the morning, and I haven't bought anything yet. And I was like, excuse me? She's like, I guess I need like diapers and stuff like this. And she was pretty rude. And I also,
that's amazing.
Trying to lead with empathy and holding space and all of that. I'm like, maybe she was just really stressed out and she put a wall up, but that's also her fault because she didn't plan. So I walked her around the store for like an hour, and was trying to be very chill and walk her through everything. And she's like, I don't even know how to use this stuff. It's all going to be delivered to my house in the Hamptons. I have a nurse. And I was like, you're giving birth to a handbag. Because
totally.
all your friends are
Birkin.
having babies.
Yeah.
And it happened a lot in New York. And it always kind of blew my mind. Like, people would spend more time planning for their vacations than like really doing research into what they needed in terms of baby products, and even just like taking childbirth classes and breastfeeding classes. And like, but you'll spend like 6 or 7 months like planning a trip to Turks and Caicos school. Like,
yikes. So
that is not us or this podcast. We are talking. We were just before you joined talking about puke and vomit. So
great.
It's cool.
Also, I wish I had the money to just fly off to Turks and Caicos tomorrow. But at the same time, I wouldn't change anything about my parenting journey, frankly.
Oh, I would in a second. If I was rich enough to ignore my kids, bye. See you later. Good luck. See you when you're 18. Yeah. Oh, dream.
Thank you for keeping it real, David. Thank you for keeping it real. So, Jamie, a slight change back to social media in a way. One of the things I admire so much about you is you have never compromised your principles, values, or beliefs because somebody clapped at you, either in person or online. And I think that you have probably had to deal with a lot of homophobia and mocking, and how on earth do you know how to take care of kids? You're a single gay man. What would you know? And to your credit, and also may I say, please back me up or don't, or contradict me on this if it's not true. I feel like the companies have stayed by you as well. It seems to me, as you're like, oh no, come after me, I will cut a bitch, and also I do know what I'm talking about. And I mean, I would love to hear you just monologue about this, but also I want to hear some of the most ridiculous homophobic bullshit that you've had to slap down.
Let me time travel backward.
Take us back, Sophia.
It's a couple years now, and it was brought to my attention that a certain sleep expert in my industry had donated to Trump. So I looked up, and I never followed her anyway because she gave me bad energy. I was just like, something's not quite right here. So I looked her up. She and her pediatrician husband donated to Trump even after he lost the election. And so I took screenshots off the FEC website, which are free to the people, and put them on the internet. This blew up. I got covered in Breitbart. I got covered Newsmax, OAN. I got covered in all.
Came for you.
Oh, it was bad.
Oh, they came for you,
and
Argentina.
I think this is it's an interesting situation because all I did was say I never said anything about her character, even though it's just repurposed Ferber and she's preying on tired parents. You could get this information for free. I said nothing about her. And then for probably 2.5 months, I did not check my messages. Lainey, my coworker and like sister and dear friend, was in charge of going through my messages because every single social platform I had, every single email I had was nothing but people calling me a pedophile because I'm gay.
Jesus.
And it was thousands and thousands and thousands of messages. And I said nothing about her. I wasn't like, well, she's a bitch and she's doing all this. I was like, no, she donated money to Trump. And I believe as a consumer, we need to know where our money is going and who we're supporting. And I still have no qualms in calling people out. I'm still very vocal. And I think what people don't understand is like parenting is political. And it's how you raise your kids, like what values you instill in them. And it trickles down. And if you're not raising smart, thoughtful children with a critical lens, like, we're screwed.
Well, I think that the problem is that people think that privileged people like to laugh and be like, oh, it's just politics, as if it doesn't affect them, because it kind of doesn't. But for us as gay parents, we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago with an attorney. We have to think differently than straight people when it comes to creating our families. We can't just get pregnant in a Chick-fil-A parking lot and then we have a kid and it's fine legally. We have to do so many fucking hoops, and all of that with this like weird social thing that you were just talking about where like there's this like, are you pedophile? Are you a pedophile because you just want to have kids kind of vibe to it? There's so many other pressures on us as gay men that are political, that involve laws and Congress people and it is so easy. I've had so many people tell me like, oh, just ignore the haters. I can't. For the safety of my family, I cannot ignore the haters. Those haters vote, and they have money, and they can affect laws, which can affect my family and my life.
Mm-hmm. And it does definitely come from a place of privilege, and it's one of the reasons that, you know, you're both gay white guys like I am, and it's this strange place to be in, and you ride this place of privilege, but it's also, you're also a minority, and it's like the intersectionality of that, and like how do we navigate this and use it, which is why I use my platform like I do. You know, I will always lift up minorities. I always call companies out, and like, you know, one of the things I try to do whenever I'm meeting with brands and talking about how we're going to work together, we dig pretty deep into how companies operate. Because for me to work with a company, their product has to be good, but they also have to have good corporate culture and, you know, representation and a varied workplace. And if they don't have that, it kind of, I don't really have an interest in working with them. And I go so far as to look up, because one of the things on the FEC website you can do is look up donations by who their employer is.
Oh, yes, you can.
So I can look up companies and be like, oh, your president, your head of sales, your head of marketing, your head of this, all donated to the Orange Cheeto. Right. And it's one of these things, like, even though it's not an official corporate donation, it tells me who I'm working with, and I don't necessarily want to.
Do you prioritize diversity in age to represent Gavin, to make sure that older people are represented?
Yes.
I appreciate that.
It's very important. It's important to respect our elders.
Yes.
You know,
poor Gavin. He's like 5 years older than me, and I just shit all over him.
Gavin was there at Stonewall, and we don't talk about this enough. We don't talk about this enough. He built the stone wall. He did.
Him and his ancestors built that stone wall. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Don't you? Am I not the guilt that you all aspire to be someday?
Absolutely,
you're welcome
100%.
for setting a very high bar. Very high bar. Have any of the companies ever tried to censor you at all?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely. And if they do, I won't work with them. It is a hard and fast line. It's on our website. It is in all of our contracts. Like, it's in my media kit. I was like, these are our ethics and our standards as to how we operate. If we're not in alignment, you can go work with someone else.
That's awesome.
We have a line in the sand.
So you see a lot of terrible behavior and a lot of great, inspiring behavior. Does your job make you optimistic about humanity or disgusted by humanity?
Both. There's no easy answer to that, because there's such, you know, there are wonderful things about, you know, being involved with people, and it's nuts. I had a woman, now that my TikTok is starting to pick up, I had a woman write me, and she's like, you were so instrumental to me as a new mother, and now, like, I love this younger generation is on TikTok, and they're going to have access to your information. And I think about, like, you know, you will affect our grandchildren. And when it goes into that kind of like generational stuff, and I think about all the families that I've been involved with, either in person or virtual, it's mind blowing to me. Mm-hmm. But then you also see a lot of chaos. You see a lot of chaos on the internet, because I can never turn it off. And it's whether people are doing it because they think it's like a cool thing, or it's just going to get them a lot of clicks on the internet. Like, there's the internet is chaos.
Jamie, is your job a dude repellent or a dude magnet?
What do you think?
I'm not really sure.
As I sit here with a giant picture of a cat on my wall, the dating side of this is problematic for multiple reasons. It's very hard to explain what I do just in general. And normally when I go on dates, I don't tell guys what I do for the first 3 or 4, because it's very easy to look me up. Like, I'm very Googleable, or whatever the word is. But it is a deterrent for a lot of people, because people just, they can't wrap their head around it. And there was actually a book that I have a signed copy of. Thank you. Of this guy in New York who you might know. He wrote a book about guys he'd been intimate with, let's just say. And in this book, he might talk about And then there was the guy uptown who reviewed baby gear for a living. And he met me at the door. We had mint juleps, and I never wanted to be carried around in a baby Bjorn more in my life. And I don't even know how I found out about it, but mutual friends started writing, and they were like, is this you that he's talking about? And I was like, what other homosexual do you know that has an apartment full of strollers?
But also, the angle I can't get over is the mint julep part of it. Why did you skip right over that?
I love mint juleps.
That says honestly everything I need to know. Honestly,
it's hospitality.
You need a nice mint julep before a little romantic. But wait, are kids something that you want in your future, or you don't want kids?
I go back and forth. I always wanted kids, and I have a lot of nieces and nephews. But as I get older, and I know it's still very possible for me to have children, with my work schedule and what I have to do, I don't know anymore. And, it's, if my role is to be the gunkle of the internet and just like a very good uncle to my nieces and nephews and my friends' kids, great. But I personally don't know if I can maintain the work that I do at the level I do with having an infinite 50.
I was thinking about you as like dating, and I was like, I bet the one guy that probably is turned on by your job is the person who wants to be a dad someday. And he's like, oh, this guy has like an inside track.
And there's probably lots of those.
But I'm also just, the travel makes dating very difficult anyway. Yeah. And, even right now, I'm like, oh, I just got back home. I was gone for a month, and I'm like, I could like try to go on a date or two. But then it's like, starting mid-March, I'm basically traveling nonstop until October. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, well, here we go. Another year, single, thriving, but it's that's the part that kind of sucks.
Yeah. I mean, you just gotta up your mint julep stock, honestly, because that is the key to finding
the secret. It is the secret. Always have the simple syrup on hand.
And always muddle your mint, I imagine.
No. I do it very different. Whenever I make the simple syrup, I put the mint leaves in that, so the oils like diffuse into the simple syrup, and then you strain the leaves out. So then you have a jar of simple syrup in your fridge, and you can and it's mint, and you can use that as needed.
And this poor trade is just standing at your door being like, are we going to fuck or not? And you're like, I'm sorry, I'm still straining the mint. From
just like, I'm busy.
And that trade is just like, all right, I guess I'll wait.
Mm-hmm. Jamie, thank you so much for entertaining us. And also, may I say, and you touched upon this, you are helping make the world a better place for our kids and for all of our society. And you're doing a tremendous job of doing so. And please never shut up. Please.
I never will. Don't worry about that.
So what's something great that's just happened to you recently?
So this is super cheesy, but so my husband, reading is very important to him. His mom was a reading teacher. So like my kids have loved books since they were little. I guess they're still little. Anyway, at some point you put them in your lap enough and you open a book enough, they start to kind of connect the two. And when they want to read a book, they start to crawl on your lap with a book. And holy shit, is that one of those like parenting feelings that I didn't expect to be so wonderful. And so my son does that, and now he's a little older, so it's less whatever. But now my daughter, my 1-year-old, just started grabbing a book, walking up to you, and just turning right around and plopping right in your lap. And that is just fucking great. It's not something great, it's fucking great.
Something great about me also, you just jogged my memory about something great that happened recently, which was, my son, who's 9 years old, is starting to get out of being read to phase, but if I offer to do it, he'll be like, okay, I'll sit and listen to you. And I feel like my mom didn't read to me after I was 4, because I don't know, it was the 1940s and they didn't believe in reading, right? So
you were just reading smoke signals anyway.
So in my Clark Griswoldness, I want to expose them to some classics, and so I was trying to read Tom Sawyer. Have you read Tom Sawyer in the last decade?
No, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty problematic at this point.
Well, I didn't even get to problematic moments in it, but what I had completely forgotten about, and I read it, I think, in middle school, and I don't remember it particularly well. I remember the themes. I know Tom Sawyer. It is really difficult to read
Yeah.
for an adult. It is,
No.
the language is so flowery. It's so 1860s. There's these obscure references he makes, yada, yada, yada. I've been pushing through for a couple of weeks with him, and each time I close the book, I'm like, did that make sense? And he's like, no, but it's okay if you read. And so last night, or 2 nights ago, I'm like, no more. We're done with this. And I said, can we go back to Harry Potter? And he has not been a Harry Potter freak like my daughter has. He perked up. We started with the second book last night because he's heard the first probably 3 or 4 times. And I read the first chapter, and it ends on a cliffhanger of, and then Harry got back into his room, but he wasn't alone. And I turned to him and I said, do you remember who this is? He goes, Dobby. And I could just see the look on his face like, oh, this is fun. And it felt great to be back in, like, okay, I'm not going to force feed this Tom Sawyer bullshit. Let's get back to something that's relatable and easy. So that was something great.
And that's our show. If you have any comments, suggestions, or general compliments, you can email us at gaytriarchspodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can DM us on Instagram. We are at gaytriarchspodcast. On the internet, David is at David FM Vaughn everywhere, and Gavin is at Gavin Lodge, but not very active.
Please leave us a glowing 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks, and we'll see you next time on another episode of Gaytriarchs.